Welcome to another episode of Creating Cultures That Outperform. Hi, I'm Frank Wander, and I'm here with my co-host, Terry Mays. I hope you've been joining us every week at 3 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. We've been having some incredible shows here. Today, we're going to be talking about self-determination. Oftentimes, people talk about empowerment, but when you really get down to it, it's all about self-determination. That is turning over that ultimate control and emotional motivation to the employee themselves. And great leaders know how to do that. Bad leaders want to motivate people by, using delegating tasks and then using rewards and discipline to try to move them along. That never has worked, never will work. It is really all about using those intrinsic drives and motivations of the individual to actually get them to engage deeply in what they're doing and to drive the task forward. That's the ultimate. But that means you're actually painting a really good picture of where you're going, one that people could connect to, and then you're really motivating them and inspiring them to move along and join in on that mission that you're on. So, Tara, you've been looking heavily into self-determination theory for a long time. Tell us what you've learned along the way.
Yes. So it's really interesting, an interesting concept that, like you said, most people overlook this factor. They don't think about people being engaged and actually wanting to work on or choosing what they want to work on. When you give people that control over their work environment, it unlocks creativity and it relieves some of the stress and the pressure of trying to work on something that you're not really all that excited about. Having that internal motivation and that connection, that drive to want to work on it, changes the whole dynamic of the work. When you have people that are working on things that they're not really all that excited about, they don't really like it, it's boring, or whatever the case might be, you end up with lower quality work because they're just
Yeah.
trying to get through it. They're just trying to let me hurry up and finish this as quickly as possible because I don't really want to do it. And we've all been there where we're working on something, we really don't want to do it. We either procrastinate and then wait until the last possible minute, or we rush through it. Let's just get it over with. And neither of those are really the best place that you want your employees to be. You want them to be in that space where they feel creative, where they feel energized by the work that they're working on, so that they create the best work possible. I love some of these work environments where they've done just that. Frank, you may want to talk about this one with Valve,
Oh,
but
yeah. I'll
that one
talk
is
about that.
amazing. Yeah, it's an amazing one.
Yeah, the Valve Employee Handbook, I got that. It's from many years ago. I think it was written in 1996, but it is an incredibly great, piece of work in terms of motivating people, describing a work environment that people really want to get attached to. They hire people to work at Valve, they interview them, they bring them in, they say, look, this person is really competent, we like them, they think they're a fit, but they don't hire them to do a particular job. So they might have the role of you're a game designer or you're programming the game, whatever it is, you fit into a category. And when you arrive your first day on the job, your job is to go find what you're really motivated to work on. So you meet with different teams, you talk to them, you get to know the people, you get to know what they're working on, and ultimately you decide where you're going to be most motivated and where you're going to fit in. Talk about self-determination. I mean, that to me is the ultimate. I read that and said, wow, great design for their company, great business. At the end of the day, you really do want people to be, so motivated that they take control of their own success. And that's what this is all about, right? And when people are actually working on things that they have an aptitude for, that they're excited about, humans are designed with a positive and a negative feedback loop. When you're doing something you're good at, it turns out well and you get more positive feedback, sometimes from the people around you, but you feel it even internally because humans are wired to survive and thrive in different environments. And so they're innately driven to survive in an environment and adapt to it. And so what managers typically do is they demotivate people. They don't do things to motivate them because the people coming in, they're good workers, they've got ambition and drive, they're motivated. It's all the things that happen around them that start to zap that motivation and take that motivation away from them. So you don't want to drain away people's motivation. You want to actually let that motivation and drive express itself in your environment Every leader should read Self-Determination Theory. Look it up. There's people who've written articles about it, but you can dig into it. You could find out what how competence drives self-determination, how mastery of things, you're not just competent, but that mastery, it's Daniel Pink always talks about, is really just so important. How you're connected into the environment, that notion of relatedness. These things make you feel like you're part of the fabric of the place, and they really drive you along. And so every leader can learn how to do this better. They talk about empowerment, but they don't really understand kind of the human nature of empowerment. And that's what self determination theory is.
Yes, absolutely. And you've got other cultures like at Best Buy where they focus on that results
Mhm.
only work environment where they're not so concerned about how and where and when people do their work. They're more concerned about are they delivering the results and are they producing the things that need to be produced. So all of the micromanaging and you have to show up here every day and do the work sitting here at this desk. They take away all of that structure and rigor and focus in on which what's the best work environment for you and how are you most creative and allow people to do that. Now that all of this has to be within reason, right? So you've got to keep
Yeah.
some balance with this. But when you start to give people the control and let them decide how they're going to deliver what needs to be delivered, you end up with happier, healthier employees. And we've done a whole series on how some of these different traits impact the work environment and even with people and their overall health and well being. We've done several shows on that and how your work can impact how you feel, but when you take that and you allow people to have more control over how they're feeling about their work and you allow them to bring their whole self. So, we've talked before about how people have reserves. We all have reserves. We're holding a little bit back for that company and that place and that thing where we feel like we're getting the most value, where we feel valued, where we feel appreciated. When people feel that way, they'll always go the extra mile. They'll always do more than what you really need them to do. When you can when you try to control people and keep them in a box and make sure that everything is done exactly like I say, it really you only get what you're asking for.
That's right. You don't get a
Get
drop more.
you're not gonna get one drop more of effort or creativity. People will give you exactly what you're asking for. So when you take that control off the table and as a leader, relinquish your control to the people and let them decide, you end up with extremely more than what you were initially going for. People are always willing to do a little bit extra when they feel appreciated and respected, when they
Yeah.
know that their leaders trust them and they can trust their leaders. There's
Yeah.
so much research and science around giving people control and giving them the ability to spend their time and carving out time during the day so that people can just think and be creative and come up with ways to improve the work that they're doing, like giving focused time to do that, to work on things that
Yeah.
bring people joy and happiness. All of that controls and really is it drives the output that people produce.
Yeah, and Terry's right. All this only goes so far. There's a lot of things that have to get done in a company that may not be great and elegant and fun. And, people have to do those, they get that. But giving them a certain amount of control over what they work on, if they can volunteer for certain things, whatever you have to do in your company to give that, because it's all about this autonomy, mastery, and relatedness. So the autonomy is the control. That's the human desire for control of my own destiny, to do things that are tightly tied with my success, that they feel is tied to their success. That's one thing, and mastery is doing things that you're good at. So you start to build that feeling of mastery. And when you're doing things that you're good at, you know it. And people around you compliment you on the work, and work is much easier when you're in that dimension where you're actually highly capable at it. So these are hugely important things. And the relatedness we mentioned, like Zappos would, go and hire people who were a little quirky, just to making sure that people understood they could be themselves in the place. And it was okay to be who you are. And so people could feel very related to those around them. They could be themselves, be accepted for who they were. And this stuff really matters. It's science. This isn't just guesswork. You don't have to be the manager that wants to control stuff. You want to be the leader that really empowers, delegates people. You make sure they understand the outcome that's needed. But what you really want is them to own it. And that's why, results oriented work environment where it's about the results. And by the way, when you're doing remote work and you want to lead from anywhere, it's all about having a results oriented work environment. You're delegating outcomes. You're not there to see how they're doing it, exactly when they're doing it. None of that matters. If they want to do it at 2 a.m., who cares? Let them do it when they want. You care about the result. Did you get the outcome that everybody agreed to? Was it good quality? And did they do it on time as they promised? Were they responsible? That's what matters. The rest of it is nonsense.
Right. That is so true. It really doesn't matter in the final analysis when the work gets done with a lot of things. It really doesn't
Yeah.
matter. So put the control and all of the restraints around things that matter. But when it doesn't matter, give people the flexibility. Give people the opportunity to show you that they will be responsible because
Yeah.
innately we all, most of us, I should say, really do want to do a good job. We want to be
Oh, yeah.
successful. Everybody has this idea that, I really want to do well. I want to be successful. I want to feel like I'm needed and that people value me. These are innate abilities and desires inside of us. These are things that we're just made that way. So take that and use it to your advantage. Don't just
Yeah. And,
continue.
go on, Tara. I
Oh
thought you
yeah.
wrapped up. My
No,
apologies.
no,
Okay.
I was
So,
just don't stifle people.
yeah, don't stifle them. And people think that like reward is this big thing that's very important. It's going to drive them. The fact is, Federal Reserve did a study years ago on bonuses and rewards and found that they were demotivating. And when you look at self-determination theory, you find that the research shows that is the case. Because if you give people a lot of reward, you make the job about the reward, they start focusing on the reward. That's extrinsic instead of being motivated and driven by the things that are inside of them. It starts to be partly outside of them. And, at the end of the day, that's less motivating for them because it's not being driven by meeting needs in an emotional sense. It's just this external
Yeah,
reward, and people like it. Believe me, they want those rewards, but that isn't what motivates people. At the end of the day, you can have the rewards. You got to focus on the work. You got to focus on the mission where you're going. You got to connect people to it. You got to make sure they're doing things that they're really suited for, and they're feeling that positive feedback from their internally and from the environment around them about what they're working on. These are things that are going to really create that drive, that motivation, get them hyped up. Get away from disempowerment. And empowerment and control, that's just two different words for the same thing, right? It's leaders can either control or employees can control. When you give up control, you empower them. And you want the control in the hands of the people with the tools doing the work. That's where you want it. They've got to deliver it. Let them have the control. And that's where leaders have to grow. A lot of them have trouble, especially as they move up, going from managing to leading. That's one of the big lessons you got to learn along the way.
yes. Everybody wants to feel that connection. You want to feel like you're making a difference. You want to do things that matter. And all of that drives how you do your work, how you bring your best self, all of the things that you can do to make things better, all
Yeah,
comes from how you feel connected to your work. You want to feel like you're really making a difference. So,
totally.
Marcelo, can you bring up the key takeaways? So I love this quote from Colin Powell. A dream doesn't become reality through magic. It's not about magic. It takes sweat, determination, and hard work. Everybody
Yep.
wants to do that. We kind of innately want to do a great job. We want to we want to see things happen. We want to feel that sense of accomplishment that, hey, I was a part of that and it was great. Look at what I did. It's just that we're all still the little kids that go to the mom or to the
Yep.
dad, like, look at my A paper. I made this A at school and they want to put it on the refrigerator. That sense inside of
Yeah.
us never goes away. We're just adult. We have that adult version of it where we want to have
So true.
our picture on the refrigerator, but we have to have that sense of accomplishment, that sense that, I made a difference, I did something that was great. So when employees feel that they have the sense of control, so not the leaders controlling them, but they control the situation, they get to decide what they want to work on. When employees feel that connection and they feel like they're capable, they have the ability to do the things that they're working on, their best things. So my son talks about being in your bag, that's kind of the new way to say that. But when you're flowing out of what you do naturally, when you're working on something that doesn't feel like work anymore because you do it
Mhm.
so well naturally, when people feel that about the work, you instantly get engagement. And engagement surveys are the hot topic these days. It's all the rage. Everybody's working on engagement. Well, this is a way that you increase engagement. This is a way to increase that creativity and
Mhm.
persistence. People will persist when they feel like they're working on something that matters, that makes it that they can make a difference in. When they feel capable, like I can do this, I know I can, I just need to stick with it. My husband laughs at me all the time because he'll give me problems or he'll say something and then I'm just like heads down. I'm going to solve this problem. I don't care how long it takes. I'm in it. I'm just going to stick
Yeah.
in it. And he's like, it's not that serious. And I'm like, yes, it is. I'm going to find the answer. I cannot quit until I find the answer. When you get that level of persistence, it's because you're self determined about it. And now it's not about anybody else. It's just about you and your own sense of gratification and fulfillment. And so when you're trying to solve some problem, you're going to stick with it no matter what. So
Mhm.
your move is to find ways to create that type of an environment where self determination rules, give people some breaks and allow them to take a little bit more control over their work. Let them choose what they work on. You will really be surprised the outcome.
Yeah, and I'll give you one other assignment. Go to Google, type in self-determination, Deci, DECI, Ryan. Those are the 2 people behind the theory, and you'll get that, which is quite authoritative, and it's kind of a thick read, but you'll get a lot of other people who've written about it. And,
Yes.
what the key takeaways are that are simpler, more approachable. I think you'll find something really of value there. Go do it. It's your assignment, find self-determination anywhere you can. So, please join us next Wednesday at 3 o'clock. We're going to be going over the need for consistency and predictability. This is science too. This stuff has all been well researched. Humans are looking for an environment that are consistent and predictable. That's where they want to be. We'll talk about why that matters in the next show. And we hope to see you there. Take care.
Yes. Bye for now.